Welcome to the Successful Home Inspector Podcast, where we discuss everything you need to know about home inspection from A to Z. Brought to you by Preston Sandlin and Home Inspection Carolina. We're here to share some success stories and some not so successful stories. Some things we can all learn from, and maybe, just maybe, we can help each other and raise the profession. So sit back, turn up the volume, and enjoy. Now, here's your host of the Successful Home Inspector Podcast, Preston Sandlin.
Are you struggling to make your home inspection business grow? Well, have I got the answer for you. HomeInspectionFlyers.com. At HomeInspectionFlyers.com, you get 5 flyers a month. There are 3 sales flyers and 2 recipe flyers. And you can customize them to exactly what you want. And these are make great flyers when you go to the offices to put in their boxes, especially if you're doing like candy bowls or something along that nature. Like I said, it's 5 flyers a month for $29.99, and they're very creative, and you just put in your information. They come as a publisher file, and you just put in your information, and then you send them off to get printed. You can send them off online, and you can get color copies for less than 10 cents a copy. It's a great way to go. I went from being a one-man home inspection firm to a 7-man home inspection firm on this one strategy alone. So try it today. HomeInspectionFlyers.com. Thanks.
Hello out there, successful home inspection listeners. I got a special treat for you today. A guy that I've met and become friends with over several conferences. He's a former Marine, and he runs a multi-inspector firm out of Virginia Beach, Virginia. I have Troy Pappas with us here today. How you doing, Troy?
Doing well, Preston. Glad to be here.
Cool. Well, tell us a little bit about you, because we'd like to get to know you personally.
All right. Well, like we were just discussing, I'm a father of 3. I got a 15-year-old daughter and 2 boys, ages 12 and 9. And my wife, Jennifer. We live here in Virginia Beach. We've been here about, I'd say, 15 years or so. I grew up in the military. My father was Navy, so, of course, I became a Marine. I lived all over. I consider myself from San Diego because we lived there off and on a number of times, so I consider myself a San Diegan that lives in Virginia Beach.
Oh, cool. Now, were you stationed at the base out there, or the Pendleton? Is that the base out there?
I was south of there, yes.
Oh, okay. I grew up in Jacksonville, North Carolina, home of Camp Lejeune. Did you ever spend any time there?
I sure did, absolutely.
Did you? Oh, wow. Well, I mean, I was born there. I grew up in Kernersville, but I lived there until I was about 5. Did you ever go down to, like, Topsail Beach and Surf City and all that stuff?
No, unfortunately, when I was at Camp Lejeune, it was all training all the time. So. Oh,
okay. Well, so Troy, tell us a little bit. What you said your dad was in the Navy, and I guess Navy and Marines. There's some animosity between them, but well, none of us grew up wanting to be a home inspector. So I'm curious how you got into it, and by the way, what did you want to be when you were a kid?
Well, growing up, I wanted to write or direct movies. Actually,
cool.
I still enjoy movies, and I just was always enamored by the whole process of it all. And that's what I had. I actually went to school for a little bit in the television arts, and but that just wasn't ready at the time. So just nothing came to fruition with that.
Right.
But
now, go ahead.
I worked odd jobs in construction for years after the Marine Corps, and then I worked in the hospitality industry for a lot of years, and I finally got a degree in finance back at the around 2000. So because I thought I wanted to be one of those sit behind the desk and make some money kind of finance guys, and that's not what I'm meant for. So
right.
I just started looking for something I always enjoyed, which was construction. But you start getting a little older. The last thing I wanted to do was start swinging a hammer again. So I started looking around to see what my options would be, and kind of found home inspection.
Okay, cool. Now, were you in Virginia at this time, or were you in San Diego?
Yes. No, I was in Virginia Beach.
Oh, okay. Now, do you guys have licensing there, or did you go to school, or did you work for somebody else?
In Virginia, they have what's called a voluntary certification.
Okay.
It's not licensing. I really believe licensing is coming to Virginia, so might be something I'm going to probably do this year, just so I'm ahead of the curve. I just haven't done the voluntary certification because I'm never one to sign up just because the government tells me to. So,
so you did enough of that early on.
Yes.
I did enough of that in my lifetime. Now I'm a little bit. I love that area. My wife took me up there to Williamsburg, and we did the whole Patriot Pass and all. Do you do Williamsburg and Newport News and all those areas?
Yeah, there's so much to do in this area. When I do have the time, my favorite parts of Williamsburg happen to be the golf courses. But, the Colonial Williamsburg is a blast. I mean, the kids love it. So we get up there whenever we can.
Cool. And what's the place there where the not Pilgrim, but where the early settlement is? I can't think right now.
Jamestown.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. Now, do you cover that area as far as doing home inspections? You cover the whole area?
I don't go that far north, anymore. I used to go wherever a job would take me, but that's a little outside my area right now.
Okay. So what you care? What areas? I mean, not every, but you care like a certain mile radius of Virginia Beach.
Yeah, well, Hampton Roads has what's called the 7 cities, and I will cover the 7 cities. I do go across the water to Newport News and Hampton occasionally. I do like to stay on my side of the water. That way I don't have to deal with the tunnels. But every now and then I end up out there. So nothing more. I think 1 hour is probably the outside limits of my range.
Yeah, well, and you know, it's tough. You drive an hour, and you know, you do the inspection, drive another hour, and then write the report. It starts to add up, especially if you have, you know, more than one.
It sure does.
Well, Troy, tell us, how long have you been doing inspections, and what changes have you seen?
I started in 2008. I think the biggest changes I'm kind of seeing around the industry, and especially for myself, is just the move to mobile reporting, using phones or tablets. I don't think I've used a camera on an inspection in the last year. I use my phone from the roof to the crawl space for the whole inspection.
Well, that's cool, because then when you take the picture, it's already, if I'm correct, is it already like where it needs to be, so you don't have to fish through?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very efficient.
Man, I go back, way back. You know, I go back like Polaroids, and then we went to the disc, the floppy disk. And, you know, like, all right, so I'm in the kitchen, I take a picture of the sink. So I'm writing the report, and, you know, I'm like, all right, I got to go find that picture. You know, I'm fishing through it, and that thing's spinning. I can hear it, you know. What is that? What picture was that? You know, I mean, it's amazing with the cameras now and the phones. I mean, man, it just saves so much time.
Absolutely, it sure does.
Well, Troy, tell us, I'm going to kind of double these questions up. How many inspectors do you have, and what was it like to hire that first one? And I know you sort of do a team approach or something, I think, when I was talking to you. I'd love to hear more about that, so I kind of rolled up 3 questions in one.
All right. Well, right now I have 3 guys on my team. We work as a team of 4. Actually, one of them's more of a trainee, and then 2 of them have their areas of the inspection that they do each day.
Right.
We're working towards splitting off into teams of 2 to 3. And hopefully that will happen this month, because that is my goal. And I just hired a gentleman from has an HVAC background, so he'll be probably my next team leader. And my goal is to, when we hit a house, depending on the square footage, not to keep the clients or the realtors there more than an hour and a half. So if it's a bigger house, then we'll team up a couple teams, or we'll just bring on an extra person.
No, it's great. That is a really good selling point, you know, that could differentiate you from your competition, because if I'm a realtor, I'm thinking, hey, you know, he brings twice the people. You know, a normal inspection takes 3 hours. They can do it in an hour and a half because they got 2 people or something. I like it. Now, when the team hits the house, do they change up, like what? I mean, I'm trying to see how that works, and I don't do the team approach, but, you know, when I'm training a guy, I'm thinking like towards the end of his training, we kind of do a team approach where, you know, we sort of, you start on the outside, I'll start on the inside. We know the whole routine, and we'll meet somewhere in the middle. I mean, do y'all have a sign? Does that ever switch, or do they keep the same? I mean, and I know.
On a typical day, they keep the same routine. Occasionally, what I'll do is when they get done early, or if they get done before I do, or they get done before one of the others, I start having them do some cross training. So that way, if something does happen, or when we do branch out into more teams, that they'll have more experience in those areas, and they can continue to see how the whole process works.
No, I think you're on to something there, Troy. I mean, I think you might get really, really good at that part of it that you know that you do. You specialize. That's a good idea. Good USP. Well, was it hard to hire the first one? Take us back there and tell us what that was like, because there's a lot of listeners out there struggling with hiring an inspector.
Yeah, it was probably about 2 years ago this time. I was starting to get busy, and I had gone into this. I had met some gentlemen years ago that have done the team approach, so I was thinking about doing it anyway. I was starting to get busy, so I hired an assistant just to kind of do the ladders, take the panel covers off, check outlets and windows to help save me some time. And when I did it, I probably did it a little too early. I didn't have the business, but, you know, it didn't take long where it just kind of, the snowball grew. I was getting done faster, and the word of mouth is, well, it doesn't take him as long. And so the word spread, and it didn't take too long where I realized it was the right decision to make.
No, it sounds good. I'm already thinking I want to hire you. I mean, you know, you're going to save me time. You save me time or money, man. I'm hiring you. Well, how does it work, like when you're doing the team thing with the software? Is it networked together, or does one person start the report and then the other, and what software do you use?
I use Home Inspector Pro. Everybody has either a phone or a tablet, whatever their preference is. Everyone does their section of the inspection on their device, and then at the end of the inspection, I merge them. I upload them all to the cloud and merge them to my laptop where I do the final report.
Cool. So they can merge, like you got like on the Home Inspector Pro will let you merge reports.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That is awesome. I know. I use 3D, but you know I know Dominic, and I use his websites, but he's a smart guy, so that doesn't surprise me. Are you using the video stuff in the? I know that's like their new big thing. I think
I do. I don't use it a lot. I use it when needed. Typically, I'll use it in attics and crawl spaces where obviously the client's never going to be able to go, or just kind of show them exactly what I'm talking about. It's great for leaks or funny noises or just some things that, you know, I don't even know how I'm going to write this. Let me show them.
Yeah.
It does come in handy.
Well, I bet the combination of doing the team approach, having them doing their own things on their tablets, doing the videos, it's probably pretty impressive. I mean, it's high tech. I mean, I'm sure, like, if you get people who've bought and sold a couple of houses and then they experience this, it's probably a lot more high tech than other inspections they've experienced, which is impressive. Well, Troy, changing gears just a little bit, do you have a success quote you'd like to share with us?
One of my favorites is from Jimmy Johnson, and it's the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is that little extra.
I love it. Are you a Dallas Cowboys fan?
No. Absolutely not.
Me neither. Who do you like?
I'm a San Diego Charger fan.
Oh, yeah. Okay, grew up in San Diego. You know, Phillip Rivers is, he's from California, but he played at NC State.
He did.
Yeah, they're good. We kind of already know this, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. Let's say I'm a buyer or real estate agent in your market, Troy. There are other home inspectors in your market. Why should I hire you? Is there something you do that others don't?
Well, as we discussed, I mean, the biggest thing that's happened for me is right now I don't sell myself to agents. I love when listing agents show up because the buyer's agents I work with, they sell me to the listing agent. They're like, what's going on here? Why are all these people walking around the house? And I don't have to say anything. They explain it to me. You know, we use them.
Right.
We're going to be done in, because usually the listing agents here will show up near the end, and I mean they've shown up sometimes we're gone, and the buyer's agent will give me a text, hey, you're probably going to be getting a call from so and so. They couldn't believe that you guys were done already, and they read the report. So, and when they see the report, they can see that it's still a very thorough home inspection.
Yeah, well, their time. Okay, sorry.
I mean, for the client, I get to tell them, I say, you know, we have more eyes on site working for you each inspection. And so, I mean, there's a sales point for both the agents and the clients that I get to use.
No, absolutely. And I mean, time is money. Time is valuable. If you're saving them time, you're saving them money. Well, changing gears again a little bit, Troy. I like to keep everybody off balance. What do you like to do in your spare time? And tell us something most people don't know about Troy Pappas.
All right. Spare time is, well, all my spare time is spent at baseball fields every weekend.
Right.
But my 3 kids are in 4 different leagues between softball, baseball, travel ball, school ball, little league. So we're heading in a different direction every weekend. Sometimes together, not always.
Yeah, I started to say, do you and your wife have to play like offense and defense? Like one?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. But you got 3. That's a little tougher. You got a man or a woman open there sometimes. But well, I guess your older ones can stay by themselves. So that's cool. I'm friends with Troy on Facebook, so I see all the baseball stuff. And I got 2 girls. They don't do baseball, but it's all volleyball and track now. And man, I'd never been a track meet in my life, and they're long. They're long. But anyway, well, Troy, you know as well as I do that if you do enough inspections, you're going to have an unhappy camper. How do you handle an unhappy camper? Do you have a process? What's that look like?
Typically, because I have someone answering my phones, they kind of try to feel out what's going on.
Right.
Is there something I need to give a phone call back? And having that buffer zone gives me an opportunity to at least review the report before I have to start answering questions. And then I'll see what's going on from there. If it's something that's clearly in the report, I will send an email saying it was on such and such page, such and such line, and typically that'll handle it. If not, then it will be something, do I need to go out and look? Is it something that was missed? Or is there something that they didn't understand? And usually we can just a phone conversation or a quick visit can take care of it.
Sure. Yeah, and every situation is different. I mean, I always tell my guys, if we miss something, let's pony up, take care of it.
Exactly.
But I would say that's probably about 10% of the time, maybe. Usually the other 90% is split between it was in the report, they, rushed to buy the house or whatever. Of course, you can't tell them that right off the bat.
Yeah.
Or it's something that, they tore open a wall and, there was nothing, you couldn't see it. I mean, and especially this HGTV, there's a fellow on there that, well, we won't mention his name, but I bet you can guess who it is. Creates unrealistic expectations.
And that is part of our opening. When we get there with the clients, we let them know and say, hey, one of the things we can't do is see behind walls.
Yeah. Can't see through walls or predict the future or, we don't have crystal balls or x-ray vision.
And the thing is, when you say that, it sounds so silly to them at the time until you remind them when they call back.
Right.
Then it's not so silly. Then it kind of all starts to make a little more sense for them. It's like, oh, yeah, you did say that. And, yeah, I guess that was behind the wall that the contractor just ripped down and found such and such stuff.
Right. And, a lot of times I'll empathize with them. I'll try to, give them some contacts of people, because obviously you probably developed some relationship with contractors and stuff. And, and I'll call them and say, hey, is there any way you can help them out? I mean, not for, but give them your lowest price or whatever. I mean, I feel bad for them, that sort of thing. So,
yeah,
well,
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Troy, we're going to get into some highs and lows, but first,
let's take a break for our sponsors.
Well, I'll admit this probably doesn't have much to do with home inspection, but it will help me pay for this podcast. If you're in need of anything to hang on the wall, along the lines of art, go to PrestonSandlin.com. Check it out. You can click on there if you're interested, and it takes you to Fine Art America, some of the stuff I've done. And you can have all kinds of things, phone case covers, all different size art things. So if you're looking for a gift or something like that, you like this podcast, they'll help me pay for this podcast. That would be awesome. And if you can prove to me that you bought something from it and I see you at a conference or something, I'll buy you an adult beverage. Thanks a lot.
All right. Well, we're back here with Troy Pappas, and he is dropping some golden nuggets all over the place. I hope everybody out there is taking notes, unless you're driving, of course. Just back up and, listen to it again. But, Troy, take us to a time when you failed. Take us there, and what'd you learn from it?
I think my biggest failure was early on in my business. I was listening to the wrong people about how to do this business, and
right.
I kept doing the same thing over and over again, and I was getting the same lack of business. And I met a gentleman down in Florida years ago, and we literally spent half a day together and discussed home inspections, and it just changed my whole perception about how this wasn't just a job, that this was a business, and that's how it needed to be run. And I had to find like-minded people that would help me along that path, and find people that were doing what I wanted to be doing in 5 years and 10 years, and start following and modeling what they were doing.
Absolutely. And, sometimes it's tough to find that, in your own market. I mean, I'm lucky, I'm fortunate I have some friends in my market, but a lot of times you have to reach across your area to find, because a lot of times the person in your market may not be willing to help you because you're competition or vice versa. But anyway, no, it's good that you found that person. Well, on the other end of the spectrum, Troy, can you tell us about a time like I've come a long way moment where you felt like, wow, we have come a long way?
Yeah, I've had a few. I think the first time it was when I realized that, I haven't had a time where I finished an inspection and there's not another one booked, because I used to have that quite a bit. I would finish a job and be like, okay, when's the next one coming along? And
crickets.
Yes, and it just hit me one day. It's like, you know what? I'm done, and I've got inspections lined up for the next 2-3 days, and it's been like that for a while now. And it was a good feeling.
Troy, go ahead, sorry.
And I think last year, I grew from 2013 to 2014. I grew 100% in volume, and that was a big step for me. That was pretty incredible.
Nice. Troy, I can remember back when if I scheduled one a day, I felt like that was a success. That was a long time ago. I mean, we do quite a few more than that now, but I was like, we scheduled another one today. And then it went if we could schedule 2 a day. It's going up.
Well, I've heard you talk about the story with it. Is my phone working? And believe me, I was there. I was like, I tell my wife, call my phone, make sure it's on.
Oh, I know. I'm like, what? We're not getting any calls. What's going on here?
Yeah,
I'll call it. Yeah, exactly. Well, Troy, switching gears again. I like to keep throwing you different pitches. Do you have a favorite book you could recommend for our listeners, and what is it about the book that appeals to you?
Favorite book. I don't know if I have a favorite. I'm always reading 3 or 4 books at the same time. I don't know why I like to do it that way, but
I do too.
Right now I've been reading The Entrepreneur's Roller Coaster by the editor of Success Magazine. And
Darren Hardy? Is it Darren Hardy?
Darren Hardy's book, yes. And
I haven't read that one.
I like the magazine, and the name of the book definitely applies to how I feel sometimes, riding the roller coaster of life. So I'm just getting into it, but it's been a pretty interesting read.
Cool. Did you read his other? I read his other book. I can't think of the name of it, but it's the whole premise is kind of like how just little things add up. You know what I mean? Like little things. I can't think of it, but I'll have it in your notes on your thing. But
all right.
If you get done with this, go back and look at his other book. For life of me, I can't think of what it is, but it's.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I can't think of the title myself.
Yeah, it's good though. Darren Hardy. Well, tell us about. Well, you kind of led into this a little bit. Tell us about your ancillary services. What do you do to offer more value to your client?
Right now, we do mold sampling. I'm getting ready to add pool inspections. For years, all I focused on was in home inspections, and then I got so busy that I couldn't even branch out into thinking about doing anything else. But that's one of my goals with the team approach, is that I can spend more time adding ancillary services and still get everything done within the time window that people have come accustomed to. So I'm just really kind of on the starting blocks for adding additional services, but they are coming.
I hear you. Are you gonna? Is your wife gonna let you get another drone if the FAA will let us do that? Did you ever?
You had to bring that up, didn't you?
Yeah, sorry. Didn't mean to ambush you there, but.
Yes, absolutely. I love my drone, even though it decided to fly off on its own. But yeah, I've been holding off, kind of just waiting to see what's going on with all this FAA talk. But there'll definitely be another safe bird in the sky.
I hear you. Did you have the Phantom 2
Division? Yes, I did.
You know, they actually gone down. They were like $1,300. Now they're like $1,000.
Yeah, I'm hoping that they'll give me a discount, since all I need is a bird, because I've purchased everything else for it. So
you still got the control.
Yeah,
I hear you. Well, I tell you, I think about it. I mean, the problem is, like, I'll fly, and I start getting cocky, and then when I start getting cocky, or not cocky, but fancy, and I'm like, remember what happened to Troy? Sorry.
Yep.
Do that to you. Well, no, you're not the only one. I mean, there's other people have lost them. I'm on a bunch of forums and stuff, but they're an awesome tool.
Yeah, it's good time, and it has really come in handy on using during inspections, because we have a couple areas down near the beach where we have 3-story beach houses, and nobody's getting on any roof up there, so it's nice to have them down there.
Yeah, that gives you an advantage. Well, I started to say something. I don't want to say it, but I think the FAA thing is going to. I mean, they're going to have to let us eventually. I hear they're giving special permission for. I think they'll let us eventually.
Yeah, well, I do as well.
Well, Troy, I know the answer to this before I ask, because I know the answer is yes. Cause have you ever been? I mean, because all of us have. Have you ever been thrown under the bus by a contractor? I know I have. How did you handle it? Do you have any ideas of? I don't think we can ever prevent it, but or control it, or at least limit it to a degree. What's your thoughts on that?
I've definitely been thrown under the bus. Probably the one that just irritated me the most was a plumber that told my clients that I should have been able to tell them that 90 days after they moved into their house that their toilet was going to back up.
Oh, jeez.
And so, I mean, and I thought the client was, like, half kidding when he was telling me this story. So I was just like, if you could just give me your plumber's name. And I was literally on the phone with this plumber for over a half an hour. I explained the whole inspection process twice. And then I asked, and I said, and I told him, I said, I want to use this as a learning opportunity. What in that procedure could I have done differently where I would have been able to tell my client in 90 days that their toilet was going to back up?
Right.
I never got an answer, but there was no answer. He goes, well, you should have been able to tell him. And I was like, yeah, but I'm just looking for that piece of how.
Yeah. I didn't bring my tarot cards that day.
Yeah.
Or Zoltar, or, my fortune teller. I mean, how would you have told him, sir? How would you have told him? I bet you there's some house he's been to that's overflowed in a short amount of time. It just makes me mad.
Absolutely.
Well, that kind of leads us. Oh, go ahead.
I think it's always going to be part of the business. I just when I see contractors on site, I just try to chat them up, and I always tell them. I said, hey, I'm always looking to learn something. Well, what can you tell me about this? What can you tell me about that? I said, or get the contact information, because I think the more that they learn that we're a valuable resource of business for them, that they'll understand and appreciate what we do a little more. I think I mean, even though home inspection has been around 30 years or so, it's still a relatively new industry, and so I think it's just they got to see the value in it for themselves instead of just trying to throw the next guy under the bus.
Oh, I know it. Man, if I was a plumber or any type of contractor, man, I would go to every home inspector in my area and see if I could bring them breakfast or something, you know. Like, I would be chatting them all up. But, no, you're exactly right. And I haven't quite figured out their motivation for doing that, for throwing us under the bus. The only thing I can figure is they're getting ready to charge them a bunch of money. And instead of them being mad at them, they want to, you know, hey, be mad at that guy. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I mean, you come across issues sometimes, and, you know, you're looking at it and go, you know, there's really nothing wrong there. But you're going, okay, is the contractor going to come behind me and go, well, your home inspector should have said this? Or if you send them out there, they're going, I can't believe he sent me out here for this. You can't win for losing with some of these guys.
No, yeah, you can't. Well, and that sort of brings us to my next question, Troy. One thing that bothers me is contractors that use fear to sell. And, you know, I just, that irks me to no end when people use fear. Mold is probably the number one target or use of this, sometimes HVAC, where they come out and, all right, if you got toxic mold, that's one thing. But there's some of these guys that, you know, basically tell every house that they've got mold and, you know, they need remediation. I don't know if you have those guys in your area, but we sure do. How do you feel about that? I mean, well, I know how you feel about it, but do you have any idea of how to control that or how we could help remedy some of that?
Yeah, I think that's one of those. You're always going to have that someone trying to take advantage of somebody. And when it comes to the clients, I mean, we let them know. If you talk to contractors and you're just not comfortable with what they're saying, give us a call so we can call and talk to them, or let you know what, you really need to talk to another professional and get another opinion, because that just doesn't really mesh with the issues you're describing to us.
Sure. Have you ever had one come in behind you, like, and try to scare them and say they got mold when, you know, crawl space was dusty? I mean, I've had a bunch of those. So, I mean, I'm speaking from experience. And, you know, but once they put that in their mind, you know, they start thinking, well, do I have mold or something? And, you know, I'm like, you know, I go in, you know, 3-4 crawl spaces a day. And I'm like, you know, I trust me, I know a bad crawl space when I see one.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, well, and I got one more kind of a negative question here, and then we'll make it happy again. But this one is, I want to ask your opinion on something, Troy. I'm bothered by what I see sometimes on home inspector forums. There's some really good people on the forums that want to help each other, but there's some other people who, not so much. And you've probably seen it. You have any ideas how we could keep those forums, or, you know, because, you know, we represent the whole profession. Any ideas how we could keep them professional?
Yeah, the forums, to me, it's kind of like the locker room of the industry. There's always going to be cowboys in there, and I mean, I'll go on to electrical forums, plumbing forums, trying to learn stuff here and there, and I see the same environment. So I think it forums are kind of one of those things. It's the internet muscles out there, or egos run wild. So it's one of the things, you go get what you need from it and just leave everything else behind.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, you know, those people who are like that, I mean, I bet you they're not doing much business, because if they're that way in business, I mean, you can't be that way out in the marketplace.
You can only hide that type of personality so long from people.
Yeah, you know who I compare them to? Did you ever see Back to the Future? Remember Biff?
Yes.
There's a bunch of Biffs. Not a bunch, but there's certainly some Biffs. And, you know, in the real world, the marketplace doesn't like Biff. You know, so anyway. Well,
I tell people about the forums of it. Stay positive. Go on there. There is a tremendous amount of information to be learned, even from some of those guys. If you can get beyond the personality and just pick and choose that knowledge, and don't engage. And I'm guilty of it sometimes myself. I get a little snarky and go on there and try to have a little fun. And I was on there last night, and I think it was Wally Conway had posted a job posting offering a $60,000 to $100,000 job And
nice.
There was negative comments. I mean, it was unbelievable. I was like, the man's offering people work. So,
well, that was probably somebody not doing a whole lot of work, and you throw rocks at things that shine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Nick Gromyko, I had him on here, and he had an interesting comment about that. He said, I've been giving advice harshly, and sometimes it was good advice. And I was like, well, maybe I should take that to heart a little bit. We all played ball. I can remember the coach. It's not like he says please and thank you, and you do learn stuff even from harshness. So,
and I think that's what I get from it. There's a lot of technical knowledge you can learn from them. I wouldn't look to learn how to run a successful business too much from it. But
that's a good thing. Go for the technical knowledge, but not the business acumen. Well, switching gears here, and this might be a little fun here, Troy, but just remember it's a G-rated show here when you answer this question. What's the wildest or craziest or weirdest thing you've ever found on a home inspection?
Crazy. I actually went into a knee wall attic one time, and the light switch on the outside didn't work, so I was fumbling around. I found the light switch on it didn't work. So went in, flashlight ahead of me, and walked straight into, there was a 6-foot-tall Frankenstein dummy. Almost had a heart attack. I mean, it was staring right at me, and I almost had a heart attack.
Oh, my gosh. Was it like a Halloween? I guess it was like a Halloween or something, for Halloween or something?
Well, I guess the seller, because beyond Frankenstein, there was a whole host of Dracula. She had done plays or something, and they were for some type of play or parades or something. Is what I was getting from the agent. It didn't help my heart too much at the time.
Wow. Hey, Troy, I have to tell you a quick story. I wasn't even inspecting this house. I was our house is for sale, and we're looking at houses. So I went to look at a house now. This is just to look at a house. Really nice house, basement. And I'm with my wife and kids, and my kids are, they're faster than me, so they're way ahead of me. And they go down the basement, and they're like, Daddy, what's this pole for? Stripper pole. And I'm like, oh, well, that's structural, honey. Why is it so shiny? And I'm like, it's because it's right here in the middle, they wanted to dress it up. It turns out, and it's funny, I took a picture of it, I put it on Facebook, and I had like 200 comments. And you
didn't know the house came with a champagne room, did you?
Yeah, there you go. The listing agent, thank goodness she was cool. And it turns out, this is a really nice house. It turns out that, I better not say too much or we get in trouble, that person's like a therapist. Like, she's very educated, written books, and that's part of the therapy, I guess, or something. I don't know. I was like, all right, hey, let's buy this out. No.
Different strokes.
First thing to go. All right, well, let's clean it up. I might lose my G rating there on that. All right, Troy, do you have a training or, some type of resource, whether it be training, internet, marketing resource, or app, or something you found that you'd be willing to share with the listeners?
Yeah, recently, it was probably a couple months ago, I found a site called buildingcodecollege.com.
Okay, cool.
Building Code College. It's all about decks. All the deck codes out there. And they recently added codes regarding basements. Guys highly regarded in the industry, and their video courses. They're each about 10 minutes long or so. But you could spend a couple hours on there, and a lot of the codes, apply to the interiors of the home or the exteriors of the home as well. So there's quite a bit of information to learn on there. So it's one of the things I have my guys reviewing each night.
Cool. Building Code, codecollege.com?
Yes.
Cool. I'm writing that down. That's going to be in our next meeting. Cool. So that was worth the price of admission right there. Well, thanks, Troy. What is the best, Troy? What's the best part of your job and why? And what's the worst part of your job and why?
It's probably the same thing. The people you get to come across. There's great people. I'm lucky in my area, and I hear a lot of grumbling across the country sometimes about the realtors people have to work. maybe I'm blessed in my area, but we have a lot of wonderful realtors to work with, and it makes it a joy. I mean, I actually sit to see them caring about their clients and what their clients are getting into, and not questioning every little thing that we're going over, and that they want their clients to know what's going on with the house. And so I'm hoping maybe we are just lucky here, but it seems I hear a lot differently across some parts of the country sometimes.
Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, we've got both in our area. We've got a lot. And a lot of realtors do really care about their client. They have a tough job, though. I mean, they're commission only, you know, and they've probably had some bad experiences with home inspectors sometimes, and that may bias them. But you know, I think for the most part, most of them will do a good job. Well, Troy, is there anything you're working on right now that has you jacked up or excited about?
Right now, my main focus, and I am very excited about it, is just breaking my first team off and starting over. Because as soon as that team hits the ground, I'm going to be in a whole new process of hiring and starting it over. And I'm kind of in a toss right now. I like hiring people without experience that have great personalities that I know will someday become good inspectors. And I recently just started hiring people that have experience and going that route. And I might take a few lumps learning that road here and there, but I'm going to try it both ways because I'm not having any problem bringing the business in. So now my goal is to keep up.
Yeah, no, you know, Troy, you know what I call that? And I do both ways too. I call it, the first way you talked about is building through the draft or a free agent. You know, there's some free agents I've had good luck with and some not so much. You know, some are experienced, but they're stuck in their ways and you can't get them to do it this way, you know, and some are like a dream come true. And then the same way with the building through the draft, you know, some, you know, the tough thing is, you know, like you said, if they got the good social skills, that's great. You could teach them, but I've had good luck and bad luck both ways. So, I mean, I wish I could say there's one specific factor, but I definitely think people skills and not too far behind that, computer skills are a plus. It is
one of the good things about doing the team approach is as I build more teams, I don't have to worry about investing 9 months or 12 months into training one person. And if they leave, then I'm starting all over. I'll always have someone in different points of the training on the team, so they can just kind of step up, and that's one of the benefits of, I think, the way I do it and that I've enjoyed is because I did recently just lose someone that's been with me for a while. Well, he's actually answering my phones now, but the person behind him was able to step up, start doing what he did, and the person below him just stepped up and started doing it, and because they were ready. We're talking, going back to that cross training we were talking about earlier.
Right, next man up, man. That's great. That's great. Well, our next woman up, next person up. I'll say that. Next guy. Well, Troy, we only have about 3 more questions here, and you've been very gracious with your time. Troy, if you had to move to a brand new town equal to the size of the one you're in now, and you still had all of your training, all your current equipment, everything that you have now, it's just you're in a different town where you don't know anybody, and room and board's taken care of, you have $5,000, what are you going to do that first week to build your business?
I'm going to get my marketing material printed and hit every real estate office within 15 miles of me and start asking to get in to speak. Because as soon as you can get in front of the realtors and let them know who you are, what you're about, and what you can do for them, I think you can develop those relationships a lot quicker.
Absolutely. I totally concur. Well, Troy, we're coming to the end here. Is there anything that I should have asked you that I didn't?
Let's see. Well, you didn't ask me what kind of pancakes you would like to make for me. I love your pancakes. My kids love seeing the pancakes you guys. I'm waiting for a Chargers helmet. I want to see a Chargers helmet. Yes.
All right,
San Diego Chargers pancake.
We could do it. You know, we went to for spring break 2 years ago. We went to California, and you know, I think we went 8 days or something. Anyway, we spent 2 days in San Diego, and then or 2 or 3, and then went 2 or 3 or 4 in L.A. and then went to well, L.A. and San Diego weren't too far apart, but now that drive to San Francisco, woohoo!
Yeah.
That was a haul. But I love San Diego. We did the Balboa Park and the zoo and La Jolla, and you guys have seals, man. We don't have that down here.
Yeah, San Diego's a great town. You could wake up in the morning and you're an hour away from doing anything you want. Going to the beach, going to the desert, going to the mountains, going to Mexico. I mean, it's a great town.
Well, cool. Well, awesome. Well, Troy, you have been more than gracious with your time, dropped plenty of gold nuggets. How could the listeners come and give you some likes on your Facebook? Guys, if you got some value from Troy, let's go give this man some likes on his Facebook. What's your Facebook page?
Facebook is VB Home Inspector, but just look up Safe House Property Inspections and you'll find us.
Safe House Property Inspections. And what's your website? And is it okay if somebody wanted to contact you for something further? Is there an email or phone number? Or my email address is troy@safehousepropertyinspections.com, and that's my website as well, safehousepropertyinspections.com. Okay.
And I'm always happy to help.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Troy. I won't keep you any longer. I know you got to go get ready for baseball this weekend. I'm sure that's coming. Well, thank you so much, Troy.
Thank you, Preston. Enjoyed it.
Have a good one. Take it easy.
Thanks for checking out the Successful Home Inspector podcast. You can find show links at thesuccessfulhomeinspector.com. Check out the website for special offers, information, and other resources. Thanks again for listening to the Successful Home Inspector podcast. And remember to check back for new episodes. The Successful Home Inspector podcast is brought to you by Preston Sandlin and Home Inspection Carolina.